Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look here today at Harmony One, which is one of the cooler coins out there. Personally, I love the fundamentals here. We're not here for that, but just know that there's some cool concepts that goes into this. But it's also a large market capitalization coin that's going to likely continue to take off based on the fact that we are on the alt seasons right on the horizon, right? And the first thing to happen is the altcoins, the large market cap coins, take off and start moving more independent of Bitcoin. Okay. Regardless, we'll take a look at that here. And I want to thank you so much to my patron here. John, thank you so much for requesting that I cover this here. Really do appreciate you. And moving forward, just know that I'm not a financial advisor. This is always for educational purposes only, but you are in very good hands because I have over 15 years of trading experience. And my goal is to help you become more of an effective trader, to help you trade for a lifetime, not just for one day. Okay. And if you're already part of my Patreon community, you'll know that already because I communicate openly with you and make sure that we all stay in good contact to ensure that we can navigate this crazy environment. And with an overall 80% success rate with my trading so far, I'd say it's been an awesome success. So thank you so much to all of you for joining me here. And of course, if you're new to the channel, just so you know, I have a signal group where I send out signals for all the trades that I take, entry targets, sell targets, everything you really need to know to kind of help navigate this environment, just to ensure that you're more of an effective trader. So that's something you'd benefit from, learning as much as you possibly can. We have a private chat group as well. Then I recommend checking that out in your own time. But moving forward, without further ado, why don't we just go ahead and jump into the charts. Let's get to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Harmony One. And just before we do, we look at Bitcoin, Ethereum first, get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. Because if you don't look at Bitcoin first, you're doing yourself a serious disservice, just based on the fact that pretty much everything is reliant on Bitcoin's behavior. And the best way to understand, at least to keep a really high success rate with your trading, is to know what Bitcoin is doing so you can properly navigate the altcoins. So anyways, we'll take a look at that. Also look at Ethereum too, because that does have the ERC20 blockchain. A lot of coins are on that, and it's important to understand there as well. Again, these are just quick little jumps into it. We're not going to go deep diving into them. I do that separately with my patrons, of course. Link in the description below. Check that out if you'd like. But generally speaking, I use TradingView.com desktop application, and keep this in mind too. I have basically a link in the description below for a free month if you're interested. It's really helpful to, I would say, use the paid versions just based on the fact that you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time. So again, check that out if you'd like. Otherwise, no worries. Free version works fine. You just have to keep enabling and disabling indicators. It can be just a little bit of a pain is all. Needless to say, we're looking at Bitcoin here, 4-hour chart. And just to start with some support and resistance levels, we've got 46,800 as a major resistance. Another major resistance is 44,000. As well as the fact that we're kind of trending above 42,200 right now. And then secondary to that, we got 41,000, 40,000, and 38,000. So a lot of little support and resistance channels that is kind of bouncing within. It's kind of narrowing its scope right now, but I think that we might see a breakout to the upside, obviously next week. This weekend, not exactly. Just based on the price movement, all the retracement throughout the week, I think everyone's a little timid. When they're not investing in Bitcoin any longer, they're taking that to these altcoins, these other large market capitalization coins like Harmony One, and driving the price up. So that's why we see a lot of other altcoins during altcoin season, specifically large market cap coins first. They take off because all the capitalization from Bitcoin slowly slowly comes down essentially and goes into these other altcoins. Okay, it's kind of that how that anomaly works, just based on the simple fact that I wouldn't say people lose faith in Bitcoin, but they get kind of tired of losing out, and they'll invest their other money in other things because you have a 2, 3, 4x potential of returning your investment versus Bitcoin. It's not quite exactly the same. Either way, I love day trading Bitcoin, but I would say swing trading pretty much always any other coin, based on the simple fact that they are much more volatile and have much more return on investment. So that being said, that's kind of where we're at for that. Let's go ahead and pull this on here. We are still below both moving averages. We may break above this next week, the 50. I'm guessing we're going to break above the 50-day simple moving average, but right now it's a little too early to tell. But all in all, not terrible shape for Bitcoin. We did have, of course, this retracement here yesterday, and that was from the options expiration date for Bitcoin and Ethereum. The contracts expired, prices came down, and that's just because the overall market right now is much lower than when they started the contracts. right? So they all expired, and it was a pretty big, unfortunate mess for a lot of folks. That's what drove the price down, but I think we'll see a recovery, but it's not going to bounce right back, because keep in mind, anytime the price comes down that hard, it takes a while to bounce back. Like, so if we look at this here, right, this big major retracement on the 7th of September, El Salvador, it went sideways and down for some time. It finally took off. What is that like? That's 6 days later. Okay, same thing here as well. This one took a good, what, 1 to 2 days to start coming back up, and then it came back down. So every time you decrease, it comes up a lot slower than it does coming down, right? So keep that in mind. Therefore, we shouldn't see a big spike from Bitcoin here today, but I would say early to middle of next week, we'll probably see some type of pump leg up to get back on track towards the road to 50,000. Moving on to Ethereum, same thing here. I really have nothing much to say. It's pretty much following Bitcoin almost to a T, minus the fact that we have a support level here at about 2760, as well as a support at 2900. It's kind of testing that right now. It's kind of breaking above and below, so it's not really, it's kind of both, I guess you could say. It's kind of a baseline of 2900, but traditionally it's been a very strong support level. And then of course we got a resistance here at about 3200. Okay, so just kind of working itself in between the channel of 2760 and 3200. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Harmony One. Doing some things here today, so thanks again. I really appreciate the request here from my patrons. Thanks for asking that I cover this. In fact, we're going to take a closer look here, and it does look like it might decide to break out soon, so this may be a very good swing trade potential for Harmony One. Normally, I'd recommend waiting for a lower price point, but it is testing a previous resistance that was fairly strong. So if we can break it back above that, it should go and progress upwards. So yeah, let's take a closer look, but I like what I see here so far. Okay, so looking at the one-day chart, to quickly note, we've got some pretty strong support and resistance levels. Let's go ahead and mark this guy here, because recently we can see that it broke 21.6, but also retraced afterwards, right? So 21.6 is a major resistance. It had tried to test that previously twice as well, but rejected. We've got a major resistance at about 20 cents, 20.1, and currently right here at about 17.5. Okay. And just so you know, I mean, I'm not just throwing these numbers arbitrarily out here. When you make support and resistance levels, it's really important to make them based on the one-day chart and or 4-hour chart. You can use smaller time frames, don't get wrong. You kind of have to in some cases. But for the larger, more major, it's important to look at the bigger time frame. So, I mean, look at this back here, for example. When it peaked out, so to speak, for the first time in March, you're looking at 20 cents. So it tested and rejected 2 days in a row, basically 4 days total, but 2 days in a row. Then it came down here, of course, came back up. Then unfortunately we had the May 19th retracement there. So that's kind of self-explanatory, but I need to say 17.5 is a strong resistance. And even though we have some of these little smaller channels in here, for the most part, we've got, these are all based on the one-day chart. Okay. So just something to note if you're like, well, how do they draw these lines? There's a reason for it, because the one-day chart should be the most respected chart out there, because that's what those industry leaders are using, right? The whales, whomever uses support and resistance levels, the ones that actually control the price, control the market, they're using those lines. So we've got a potential convergence on the MACD here on the one-day chart, which is good. And when I say potential, it's really not even fully formed yet, but hypothetically, if we can get up there and break that most recent resistance at 17.5, we'll see this converge to an upside and likely become a nice long position. So getting in early wouldn't be a terrible idea. So I like this, I like what I see here so far. Let's move on to the 4-hour chart. As we can see, the price rejected at 17.5. Got a previous resistance here, which should be a new support, really close to about 16 cents. And obviously, as we can see here on the 4-hour chart, it rejected 2 times and broke through. And we've seen here just recently, it tried to test it and rejected as well, right about 15.9. So at this point in time, I like where it's at. So the price is kind of channeling between 16 and 17.5. We're above both SMAs. And where are we at in the RSI? So we're back up over 50. And if you're new to the channel, or just new in general, I'd like to explain this too. People don't know this, but the RSI, the 50 right in the middle, the kind of the dotted line, that's usually like kind of it's an unofficial support and resistance level, kind of more so like a zone. So 30 to 50, you can see down here, is more bearish, right? So the price is typically coming down, and of course we have the bearish divergence on the MACD. When it's above 50, we have more bullish convergence, and it's essentially moving on the upside. Okay, so if it stays between 50 and 70 the whole time, that's great. It's commonly just going consistently increasing, if you will, right? So we like to see that. We want to have it at that point. So being up over 50 and under 70, I like that a lot. Let's see here. MACD, not much to disseminate here. We did have a convergence 3 days ago, but that's pretty self-explanatory there, where it kind of had to recover essentially after being pushed down for so long. And as we can see here, Harmony 1 was susceptible to the sell-off yesterday from the options expiration. But it's recovering nicely, recovering a lot faster than most other altcoins right now. And that to me is a good sign. Again, this being a large market capitalization coin, it makes sense in the big picture of the altcoin season that should take place here very, very soon. Again, market capitalizations coming from Bitcoin, coming from Ethereum, and transitioning into large market cap coins like Harmony 1. Okay. You can see the price is kind of moving down right now. But let's see what happens, see if that support holds. But generally speaking, yeah, I like everything here so far. Harmony 1 appears to be good, and this is definitely affordable. I like the 16-cent range. We'll see what happens soon, but we're looking pretty good here. Okay, so looking at the 1 hour chart, let's quickly identify where we're at with Ishimoku. We are above the cloud, of course, makes perfect sense. It's working as a support level as well. So hypothetically, it could continue to push the price up if we see some sideways consolidation bouncing off of 16 cents. So I'm really excited to see what happens here in the near future. Yes, we are selling off in the last 4 hours, but that's very healthy, very normal. And I like to see that because when we have these strong increases, these strong push-ups, they usually always retrace about 50%. Now this retracement here, if we look at that, that was just based on the simple expiration date for the contracts on the options, right? So that's null and void. But if you look at this, previous to that, we got some nice, higher highs, higher lows, so to speak. So if it wasn't for this little reset here, we would probably be above this resistance of 17.5. Okay. So again, I look to see that, and I can kind of think that that is more so beneficial in the big picture than anything else that you can kind of look at. Because, when there's resets like this, that's all well and good, but it's how it responds to those retracements that I like to identify. Okay, because a lot of coins that aren't worth a darn, they'll still be going sideways or downwards. Not to say they aren't good, some of them could just be overextended. But Harmony 1 is at that point right now where it should likely take off. It does look like it's ready to kind of explode. Maybe not a significant explosion per se, not like, cinematic Paramount movies, but it should continue upwards, right? Because we are still seeing higher highs and higher lows. Even with the retracement from yesterday, that is technically a higher low still, even though it came down there. The candlestick's closed above there, so we're looking pretty good. So still higher highs, still higher lows. And I'm willing to guess that the price will come down and bounce off of 16 cents. Let's take a look at TD sequential. I'm sure we got a reset and it's counting down. We're at a 5 right now. So we could likely see, 4 more hours of continuation to the downside. So if it doesn't hold this support level, don't stress, don't worry. I don't think it's going to go much lower, but this is a normal retracement based on how much of an increase it had, right? Because we had almost 2 resets, counts up to 7, and then reset, counted up to 9. Now we're on the downside. So as you can see here, we got a 9. And if you're not familiar with TD sequential, basically just takes the 4th previous candlestick and analyzes if it's lower or higher. It keeps counting up or down. So in this case, when it's bullish, it counts up to a 9. And when it hits a 9, you can kind of expect the price to retrace. And now look at this. We hit a 9 right at the same time as trying to break through the resistance. Obviously, it's not going to continue through. It got rejected and came back down. So right now, with it being at a 5 coming into a support level, I think we have a good chance the price going sideways for some time to come back up and test and bounce and break through 17.5. Okay. All right, so all good things. I really see nothing negative here about Harmony 1. I like it a lot. Let's quickly identify EMA and VWAP, see where we're at. Yeah, I mean, we're not even close to overextended. As you can see, the price got a little high, had to come back down. But generally speaking, we are looking fairly well. Even though the price is under EMA and VWAP, and you'll hear me say this time and time again, only take entry on a coin when the price is above EMA and above VWAP, but also 30 minutes of confirmation, right? I'm sure you've heard me say that if you're new to the channel. I recommend always waiting to get full confirmation. Because VWAP, this blue line here, is a volume weighted average price that helps us understand that the price is above support, right? Because the VWAP takes the volume the last 24 hours and expresses it as a price. So it's continuous support and resistance level. With the price being under that, I'm not super concerned based on the fact that we are in this bearish divergence, this nice little 5 hour or 5 hours into a 9 hour state of exhaustion. So we're more than halfway there and we're going into a support level. So with us having another support, perfectly fine. Obviously, we might want to wait for the price to kind of level out a little further, maybe wait a few hours just to kind of see. But I would set set like a limit order to somewhere in, somewhere in the range of $15 to $17. Sorry, cents, dollars. That'd be nice. 15 to 17 cents, and essentially be confident and feel good about your entry because I like what I see here. And yeah, so all in all, I mean, really, ultimately, everything that we see so far looking very good here. I mean, Harmony 1, yes, we are still a little bit lower, but I mean, if you look at this price movement, look at how it increased here, and obviously it retraced based on these couple of sell-offs from Bitcoin, but it was really looking to start making some new all-time high territory. And I think it's very, very likely that it will happen. And if you haven't looked in the fundamentals of Harmony 1, it's actually a very good coin. It's a really cool concept. And I think that it has good fundamentals. It has a good market capitalization coin. It is a large market cap coin. So, it's got everything going well for it. And I think we're going to see a breakout soon here. So I'm probably going to prepare to send out a signal to my community. And again, if you're new to the channel, I have a Patron account, or essentially just a signal group where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. So including this one, I'll likely probably send out a swing trade HODL signal where I provide you with entry targets, sell targets, and just help you understand more specifically how to maximize your benefit in situations like these, where I also day trade Bitcoin and a handful of other things as well, but just generally provide you with a nice little guidance, I guess you could say. Most people prefer that, and we're close to 50 members here now, and in only what 3 months I think it is. And I share all of my trading data too, so if you are familiar with that, go ahead and look at my Telegram community. I provide all of my trades monthly, so you can kind of see more specifically, how successful I really am. I'm not just pulling a number out of the hat. I actually have about an 83% success rate currently, based on the last 3 months alone. So it's been a really cool experience. So check that out in your own time, of course. But long story short, I'm probably going to send out a signal for this because I do really like where Harmony 1 is at presently, and I think we're going to see a pretty strong return on investment. If nothing else, at least like a 2x, because I mean, what we get in at 16 cents, I think selling at 32 cents is very realistic. It will probably take a month or two, perhaps, to get there, but we're really on the horizon of some amazing things from Bitcoin. And when I say that, I just mean that if you look historically, September is a terrible month. It's always a red month. There's almost no way to avoid it. But if you look at September 2013, September 2017, and now 2021, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's really strange the way that it works. So do yourself a favor, look back at the history and kind of see what that looks like, because you'll notice that October is usually like a 50 to 100% increase from September. I mean, I think the average increase between the two, 2013 and 2017, is somewhere in the range of about 40 to 60%. So we can probably expect, even on the lower side, a 40% recovery from Bitcoin. And 40% of its current state right now puts us at 60 to 70,000. So we're looking pretty good. I think all in all, you're going to see some good things here soon. So I'm excited to see that, and I think Harmony 1 is going to take off. So I would say long-term, Harmony 1 has great potential to 2x from its current standpoint. Short-term, I would say we're going to see it test its previous, most recent all-time high of 22 cents, really close to 22 cents, 21 and a half. We'll probably see that in the next month or two at least. Okay, so just hold on. If you already have a position for Harmony 1, I'd say go ahead and keep it, because you probably did yourself a favor and got in somewhere around 6 to 10 cents. Got really discouraged right around here because it was so sad when the prices kept on going lower and lower. But if you held on, good for you. I think you're in a pretty good shape right now. All right, so thanks again for joining me here. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day.